Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I'll be talking about the news that came out that the Washington Commanders interviewed offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy for their head coaching job. I'll talk about if I think he's going to be the head coach and also some other Commanders head coaching news. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button and that notification bell as well so you never miss a video. Also, check out BetUS and comment down below who you want Commanders to hire for their head coaching position. So just comment down below your thoughts on that, and I'll try to answer as many comments as I can. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. We had some good football, great Packers and 49ers game. Also had a good game last night between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Bills. The Ravens-Texans game and the Lions-Bucks games weren't amazing, but overall, I thought the games this weekend were pretty good. But we got news yesterday from Josiah Anderson first, and then Jordan Schultz, and then the rest of the local media that confirmed it, saying that Eric Bieniemy interviewed for the Washington Commanders head coach job this past week. And I was trying to make a video yesterday about it, but there was football going on, and also my editing software wasn't working. But it happened last week. The interview was labeled detailed and checked all of the boxes. Okay. And then also, let's see, Jordan Schultz had a little bit more information added on to what Josiah Anderson said. He said the meeting included owner Josh Harris, new GM Adam Peters, and Bieniemy, who I'm told had an excellent and highly detailed approach. So I don't think it's a big surprise. I don't think it's a big surprise at all that they're interviewing Eric Bieniemy, just because, again, he was the offensive coordinator here last year for Washington, and, he had, was highly touted, at least, going into the last few years, getting a bunch of head coaching interviews. So it makes sense for them to at least give him an interview. And also, one thing to consider too is he worked with these offensive guys, with Sam Howell, with Terry, Jahan, Curtis, all these guys. I mean, maybe Curtis won't be here in the future. I don't know. Hopefully, we can maybe get something done for cheap, but he'll probably want to go elsewhere. I don't know. That's another discussion for another day. But Adam Peters, he probably knows a lot of these guys in terms of, how good they are, and probably scouted them, but he doesn't know as much as Eric Bieniemy does, because Eric Bieniemy worked with these guys for almost a full year, for a full season, and a lot in the summer, working these guys hard. So he knows, how these guys are, not only as players, but as people, and that is very, very valuable information for Adam Peters and even Josh Harris to have, but mostly Adam Peters to have for whoever the next head coach is, and just in terms of the player evaluation and who he believes they need to bring in for, in terms of players, what type of players, how do certain players in the team, react to certain coaching. Like, some of these players were soft last year, and, not the biggest Eric Bieniemy fan, but I mean, come on now. Some of these players were complaining that he was practicing them too hard. I mean, that seems like I don't know. It seems like a you problem, not a Bieniemy problem, because, you should be working hard. You're in the NFL making a lot of money, and obviously they're going to be working hard regardless, but I don't see a problem with what Bieniemy was doing, pushing them a little bit extra, and some guys felt a certain way about it, and one of those guys probably Logan Thomas, because he did speak a little bit about it at the end of the season, and maybe Sam Cosmi as well, but that's not confirmed. But I think that information will be very valuable for Adam Peters, and I think that's mostly what this interview is about. Is there maybe a very slight chance that they hire him? I don't think so. Maybe, and that's why they're interviewing him again. He was here only for a year, so it's not really like he was fully with the previous regime, but he kind of is. I just think that Josh Harris and Adam Peters are going to want a completely new start. That's why I think it's going to be not Eric Bieniemy. I don't think Sam Howell will be our quarterback when I think we will draft one at 2. No one's surprised when I say that, because I believe they want a fresh new start, and I do not blame them at all, because you have the number 2 overall pick, you have a bunch of money, and, you might as well pick your quarterback and just hire a new guy. Do I think there's a chance Eric Bieniemy is still here at OC? Honestly, no. I don't think he'll be here as OC, because unless he's very well connected to one of the head coaching hires, but I really don't. I'm trying to think about it. I don't think any of these guys have, really big connections, impactful connections with Eric Bieniemy that they're interviewing, so I doubt it would happen. My guess is Eric Bieniemy goes back to Kansas City either as a coordinator or as, some assistant, and I thought Eric Bieniemy, honestly, he's a good leader and he can talk really well to the media. Like him versus Rivera, it's like night and day in terms of who's the better speaker. Like obviously Eric Bieniemy, he has way more control at the podium, is not going to give these freebies for the media to write about. He knows what to say, what not to say, and he's also very energetic. So I really like him in terms of being a leader, but in terms of X's and O's, I'm not sure. I liked what he did this year. It's also only 1 year, so I think he can still do something in this league as a coordinator, maybe even as a head coach. But with the Commanders, I don't think they should be taking taking that risk. Real quick, a word from today's sponsor. And make sure you guys check out BetUS. First link in the description. They're giving away a Super Bowl ticket to you and a family member / friend. All the instructions are on the screen, so make sure you guys follow those for a chance to win Super Bowl tickets. And make sure you guys use that first link in the description to get 125% first time deposit match up to $2,500. There's a lot to bet on right now. The divisional round of the playoffs just finished up. Had some good games, but we got some really good games coming up this week with the Ravens and Chiefs and the Lions and 49ers. So make sure you guys check them out. They also have, basketball, college basketball, soccer, baseball in a few months, so many different sports. Make sure you guys check them out. Link in the description. And as usual, bet responsibly. Alrighty, so we kind of talked about Eric Bieniemy and that, whole situation with him interviewing last week. Again, I think it's a very long shot of him being the head coach here or even a coordinator. I think he'll get a job in Kansas City with Andy Reid because, him and Andy Reid do a really good job together, mesh really well, and it seems like they really need his leadership there. Even though they're doing well, things weren't always the best this season there. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. I think Adam Peters is also getting very valuable information from Eric Bieniemy out of that interview. Let's talk about some other interviews. So Commanders and Bobby Slowick are interviewing, or the Commanders are interviewing Bobby Slowick. This was yesterday, the 21st, so on Sunday after the Texans lost to the Ravens. Bobby Slowick was my number 3 option. Still, I don't know if he's my number 3, and it's not because of the game on Saturday. It wasn't great, but that's really not to be, it's not surprising. It's not surprising because it's a rookie quarterback, and even though he's great, you're going up against the Ravens defense, probably the best, if not the best, the second best defense in the NFL. And you got a great defensive coordinator there in Mike Macdonald, who's my number 2 option. But I just don't know how much of a true leader Bobby Slowick can be. And that's one of the most important things you look for in a head coach. I really don't know if he can do that. I think Ben Johnson can do that. Pretty confident Mike Macdonald can do that. I know Mike Vrabel can do that. And, Dan Quinn can do that, even though, again, I like Bobby Slowick over Dan Quinn. Just going over my thoughts here. So Bobby Slowick still probably 3, maybe 4, kind of in that range. He might need another year as coordinator because that's another thing that I've talked about. One of the cons of Bobby Slowick, he's only called plays for a year. He's been in the league for a while and worked here, but only 1 year as a coordinator. It might be risky to get him to be your head coach right away. And I think Adam Peters might be thinking the same thing, but he also has connections to Bobby Slowick with his brother in San Francisco, and I think Bobby Slowick also was in San Francisco as well. Some other news, let's see. All these guys, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and Mike Macdonald can't interview him until next Monday at the earliest. I don't know if, let's say they all win, so the Ravens and Lions are in the Super Bowl, which don't think it's going to happen, but could. Will they still be able to interview like that next week, like in between the Super Bowl? I am not completely sure. We'll see what happens there, but it is what it is. Ben Johnson's my number 1. Mike Macdonald's my number 2. Those are the guys I really want. After that, the next tier is, I would say, Mike Vrabel. I am interested in him. Bobby Slowick's in that same tier. There's a couple other guys as well, and I know some people don't like Raheem Morris. He's not in that first tier, second tier for me, but I don't think he's as bad as people think he is as well. Other information, Commanders will hold a second interview with Raheem Morris this week in person. Just, keep that in mind. And then also, let's go to Dan Quinn, who is getting his second interview with the Washington Commanders. And maybe the first one wasn't in person, but this one definitely is. And so that's 2 interviews for Dan Quinn, 2 for Raheem Morris, 1 virtual one for Ben Johnson, and Bobby Sloak also got an in-person one. So, and Weaver, I think, got one as well. So a lot of these guys have gotten virtual, and some of them are the guys that have been eliminated or were already eliminated are getting in-person ones now. So Dan Quinn, Bobby Sloak, Raheem Morris, and I'm trying to think of who else. Those are the main guys that are getting interviews. I'm interested to see, I want to see Adam Peters request a couple other guys. Maybe, I know they already have 7, but they requested all 7 of those before they hired him. And, before they even started interviewing him. So it wasn't like they knew who Adam Peters wanted. It's not like they knew 100% sure they were hiring Adam Peters. They probably, thought that was their main guy, but still. So I would like him to maybe interview Steve Wilkes or, a couple other guys that are interested or that he's interested in, maybe Mike Vrabel as well. But that's it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace.